Hey everybody, this is Heather Barrow from Food for Life, and you're listening to Radio Kidnappers. And today's topic is going to be about balancing your hormones. So I have been seeing quite a few people since I've been back from holiday that have been suffering from obvious hormonal imbalance, some of which have endometriosis. So I thought this would be a really great topic because everyone has hormones, everyone suffers to some degree, and it's a huge topic, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the topic as well. So hopefully we'll cover some ground today. So there are a lot of things that impact our hormones every single day. And the biggest thing that I see, of course, is diet, being a nutritionist, but also the pressures that we face every day. So we're facing stressors today like we never have before. And the body responds to these stressors because it has to. So there are all these different hormones in the body, and there are hormones called stress hormones. So you've got your cortisol, you've got your adrenaline, and what happens when you're stressed is your body releases these hormones. If the stress continues, you continue to release these hormones. The problem arises when those hormones are being released over your other hormones, so your estrogen and your progesterone. So today I'm kind of talking about the women out there, if you're listening. So we're all familiar with the term estrogen and progesterone, and those are your sex hormones, and those are responsible for so many functions in the body, your energy, your sleep, your mood, how calm you are, fertility, and so forth. So your adrenal glands, which are your stress glands, they sit, if you're listening, they're kind of in the middle of your back. So if you put your pinkies around your hip bones and then you extend your thumbs out, that's about where your adrenal glands are. So if you ever feel a bit tender in there, could be your adrenal glands or kidneys. But those adrenal glands are excreting all these sex hormones and your stress hormones. So when you're really stressed, again, your progesterone is going to start going down. Now, why is that an issue? Well, progesterone helps keep you calm. It's kind of your soothing hormone from the second half of your cycle. It also, if you're trying to conceive, is very important for the uterine lining and nourishing a baby. So for those that might be having problems, believe it or not, stress can actually be a huge factor in that. Did you know that? No? Okay. So a couple things to do. So going back to that, what I'm seeing is a lot of cases of estrogen dominance. And I think there's more cases of endometriosis as well because of that. So endometriosis is a chronic condition where tissue that normally grows in the uterus starts growing outside, and it can grow and form on your ovaries, your bowels, even as far up as your lungs, and it can be very debilitating. It is a chronic condition that women suffer with for a very long time, for years. If you go to your doctor and you explain this to them and you say, oh, I've got really painful periods, they're really heavy, I'm bloated, it's not normal. And so if you're listening out there, please know that it's normal to not have a lot of pain when you have your period. So I would get some other advice on that. Getting rid of endometriosis, the only way to really diagnose and get rid of it is through surgery. So it's best to probably see, a GYN or someone that specializes in that kind of removal. But yeah, so just going back, endometriosis is believed to be an estrogen dominant condition. So I kind of want to focus a little bit on that because I'm just seeing so much of it. So what can you do? Well, number one, try and de-stress as much as you can. I know that's really hard in today's world, but I also believe that we have a lot of perceptions of stress. So they might not actually be real stressors in our lives. I think it's our perception. So, we've got all these emails coming in, and people see you as a reliable person, and they usually hear back from you right away. Well, you want to maintain their perception of you as a reliable person, so you feel the pressure to respond to them quite quickly. I'm guilty of it myself, so that's why I'm speaking from personal experience. So try to take those pressures off of yourself. Okay, what is really important? In a day, write down your top 5 to-do lists and just focus on that and just try and relax. Another technique really is your breathing. I know it sounds silly, but we all breathe very shallow every day. And to actually calm down and activate your rest and digest branch of your nervous system, which is your parasympathetic versus your sympathetic, fight or flight. I'm in danger, attacked by a bear. You inhale for 5, hold, and exhale for 5, and breathe from your diaphragm and allow your belly to rise a little bit. And I like to practice this while I'm driving, just because, what else are you doing? And you just practice your breath, and you automatically feel more relaxed. And you're automatically sending your body into that rest and digest branch of your nervous system. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to help your adrenal glands to secrete progesterone. So progesterone's normally down here because of stress, so we want to bring that back up. Yeah. Another thing that you can do with estrogen dominance to try and balance that hormone is to support your liver. So your liver is responsible for processing everything in the body. And, according to your diet, if you're having a lot of, liver loaders, which some of the obvious ones are alcohol, number 1 liver loader, sugar, caffeine, medications, processed food, all those things can overload your liver. And what happens is, because your liver is a huge organ, sits right under your right rib. So if you ever feel any kind of tenderness, you can even actually try and push on your liver and see if it's tender. That means your liver might be a bit stagnant. And to be honest, I think most of us can do with a bit of a liver cleanse. So the liver has 1 door in and it has 5 doors out. And if the front door is bombarded with, I'm having my 5 cups of coffee today, I'm also on statins and blood thinners, this and that, your liver says, stop it, I can't handle anymore, front door, and it pushes it back out into the bloodstream. So our bodies actually create fat stores for those toxins because they can't stay in the blood. But what also happens is the hormones get pushed to the side. So those hormones start building up in the blood, and then again, you've got that estrogen dominance. So what can you do for your liver? You can eat some high sulfur foods. Your liver loves sulfur, so those include all of the in-season veggies right now. You've got broccoli, you've got cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, your top liver foods. Your liver also really loves garlic, loves turmeric, leafy greens, lemon, lime. So if you have a tree out in your backyard or your neighbors, grab some, squirt it into your water. Milk thistle, which is a herb as well that you can take. Of course, water is number 1. So if you have hormonal imbalances, if you're listening and you think, yeah, I get really bad PMS, I get really bloated, I'm uncomfortable, I have really heavy periods, I have clotting in my periods, start doing these things. Start supporting your liver, eating those foods, drinking enough water for your body. So how much is enough? Some say 8 glasses. It's actually 30 milliliters per kilo of body weight. So if you're listening and you weigh 70 kilos, you're looking at 2 liters a day. Now, if you're listening and you're on your 3rd cup of coffee, you want a little bit more. Because don't forget that coffee is also a diuretic. So you need to replenish that water. So any questions so far? No? Okay. So what are some other tips that you can do? Endometriosis is sort of a whole nother topic, but just briefly on that, you want to remove anything inflammatory because it is an inflammatory condition. So caffeine, that actually can be very inflammatory. Water-pressed decaf is a great alternative, or herbal teas. Sugars, you really want to be watching your sugar load. So women should have about 25 to 30 grams a day or 6 teaspoons. Yeah, so check the labels on the foods that you're eating. So we've got caffeine, sugar, alcohol is another big one with endometriosis. And I think we just talked about that really as well. The liver, it's the biggest loader. It's okay to have, some wines or some beers throughout the week, but just make sure you're not overdoing it. You'll notice if you do overdo it, you'll probably notice you're cramping with your cycles even worse. It might be heavier, just really awful. So we've got caffeine, sugar, alcohol, and just really gluten and dairy, believe it or not, can be very inflammatory in the body. And I tend to find that ladies with endometriosis also have a bit of dysbiosis or imbalance in their gut bacteria, and they're just more susceptible to food sensitivities. And gluten and dairy are the top two that I see come back when I do food and sensitivity testing. So there's a little glimpse into endometriosis, a few tips that you can do, foods to avoid, foods to increase. So going back to balancing those hormones naturally, another big one is, what oils are you cooking with? None. Okay, so you don't use any oils. Okay. Good for you. That's pretty impressive. So a lot of people are using these omega-6 vegetable oils, and they actually have quite a low smoke point, which means if you heat it to even a medium temperature, it's going to turn rancid. The molecular structure changes, it turns rancid, and when you ingest that, it is extremely inflammatory and can really affect your hormones. So the bottom line is, try and avoid those vegetable oils, the peanut, the canola oil, soybean oil, even margarine. It's one component away from being considered a plastic. So butter, much better option. Yes, dairy, but better than margarine. So what sort of oils should you be cooking with? Even animal fats, not a bad idea. Endometriosis, I'd actually say no, let's move towards the coconut oils, avocado oil, that sort of thing. Things with a higher smoke point, pretty much. So that's one thing we can do to balance our hormones naturally, take control of the oils that we're cooking with. Another one, like I mentioned, is the caffeine. So not overloading that liver. And of course, caffeine is also like having a cup of stress hormone. If you're already stressed, what does caffeine do? We all know it picks you up, gets the heart rate going, you feel a bit warmer, you've got that adrenaline pumping, that cortisol. If you're stressed, that's already pumping. So you're actually just putting an additional stress and demand upon your adrenal glands when your adrenal glands need to be producing progesterone. So give them a little bit of a break. Another big one, look around your house and see where else are you getting toxins. So what kind of cleaners are you using? Are they natural cleaners? There's some great ways to make your own natural cleaners. There's some new shops out there. Even in town, there's that Refillery, the eco kiosk in town, which is a great place to refill your natural products at a cheaper price, and reuse those bottles as well, better for the environment. So we don't want that exposure to those toxins and the chemicals in your cleaning products. And even with, we talked about the oil you're cooking with, but what about the pans that you're using? So are they Teflon pans? Are they scratched? How old are they? All of those will actually release chemicals into your food that are hormone disruptors or endocrine disruptors, if you've heard that word before. What do I suggest? Non-stick pans. No, or not non-stick pans. No Teflon pans. Stainless steel, or what do they call those other ones? I forget what they're called now. I have one at home. Anyway, they're really, really heavy, but they're a good alternative as well. Plastics, what foods are you storing your food, what containers are you storing your foods in? So ditch that plastic stuff, put it in the recycling bin, hopefully it can be recycled, get some glass. Even that, heating up containers in the microwave, plastics, takeaways that come in plastics, you open it up and it's steaming piping hot and it's been sitting in this plastic container. all those BPAs and other toxins are actually getting into your food and you're ingesting them. Huge hormone disruptors. So looking at what you're using in your household. Meats, so where you can and afford, try and find organic meats. Obviously in New Zealand, I think there's less of this, but hormones are pumped into a lot of our meats. In the States, that's where I'm from. I just got back from there. Luckily, there's a lot of organic meat options in the U.S., which I enjoyed. In New Zealand, I think we're not quite there yet where we're pumping hormones, but I will say when I buy the free-range chicken over the regular chicken, taste-wise, look-wise, smell-wise, there's a huge difference. So I challenge you out there, if you eat a lot of chicken like I do the test, try cooking different types of meat side by side and notice the water that comes out of the other meat, the smell, and the taste and the texture. It's really different. So there is a difference in buying organic free-range meat. A couple other things. How are we doing? Doing good? Okay on time? Okay. Wow. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. So there are some supplements as well that are really good to help balance hormones. One is maca. So there's been studies on maca powder, which is really ancient. It comes from a root. I think it's actually from the radish family, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But you can actually buy it in a capsule or in a powder. You can put it in your smoothie. It actually tastes really good. I like the taste of it. But women have noticed increased fertility, less PMS, less cramping. It just has this amazing ability to naturally help with the estrogen decrease and balancing progesterone. It's almost a bit magical, but it's also high in a lot of minerals that you need as well. And Chantel, which is a sponsor for the show, sells many different types of maca, so you can buy it in the powder, in the capsule there. So they have a lot of great options and a great staff team that you can talk to about your needs too. What else? Balancing hormones we're talking about. Magnesium. Magnesium is great for balancing hormones because, one, magnesium helps with your sleep. Magnesium is actually depleted with stress. So the more stressed, magnesium gets depleted. Caffeine, also magnesium gets depleted. And then you wind up, a bit anxious, a bit fidgety, might start noticing restless legs, twitch in your eye, not sleeping well. So magnesium is great hormone support because you need good sleep for balanced hormones. So you can get magnesium many different ways. One of my favorite ways is actually in a spray. So they have magnesium oil sprays. And because I'm quite active and I teach fitness classes as well and go to the gym, I find that like my legs sometimes I just want to keep moving them, and that's a sign I'm deficient in magnesium. So I literally take my spray at night and I'll spray my legs, and it says there's directions on the bottle, how many sprays equal how much magnesium, and I rub it in, and it's amazing what it does for restless legs. And you're still getting that magnesium. So it's awesome. You know you're getting too much magnesium if you wake up in the morning and your stools are a bit loose. So sometimes you can, if you're very deficient, you can start with a higher dose and then start to gradually reduce it until you've replenished your magnesium stores. Vitamin D, very, very important for hormonal function. The best way to get it in Hawke's Bay and anywhere is outside in the sunshine. Now, obviously, we have a fast burn zone in New Zealand, so I'm not saying go out in the middle of the day and lie in the sun for hours and get burned. Absolutely not. But if you can get out in the sun, exposing some skin, especially even in the winter, 15 minutes. In the summer, maybe like early in the morning or later in the evening where the sun's not as hot, 15, 20 minutes, lift up the shirt, soak it in. Very important for hormonal balance and hormone function. Let's see, what else do we have here? Exercising. Really, really good. Get the body moving. If you're really stressed, I encourage you to do some light exercise, to find something that you really enjoy that can relax you. One of my favorites is yoga or Pilates, or even just if get a mat, or even just in your living room, just sit down and just do some light stretching. Bend forward, try and reach your toes just gently. Just that alone is really, really good to relax the body and de-stress the adrenal glands. You don't want to put your body under a state of, the adrenaline's going, you're in a boot camp or you're doing CrossFit or something. It's just not worth it. I mean, I think that exercise is fantastic and there's a place for it. But if you're really stressed, if you've got a major hormonal imbalance, I think doing something a bit calmer will help soothe the body. Okay, what else? There were a couple other supplements and food sources that are really good for balancing hormones. And one of them is B6. So your body requires certain amounts of B6 to maintain optimum levels of progesterone. So you can supplement with B6, but some good food sources. I always like to look to food where possible. My favorite, walnut. That is my favorite sort of nut. Super good for you. Good for your thinking, your brain. It's anti-inflammatory food. It's shaped like a brain for a reason. There you go. Really good for the brain. So walnuts, seafood, bananas, chicken, spinach, one of my all-time favorites as well. Normally, if people don't like vegetables, they seem to like spinach. I'm not sure why, but hopefully they're not smothering it in like cheese or something to make it taste better. I love spinach, just with a little bit of olive oil and salt. And beans as well, different legumes can be really good for levels of your B6. Another important one is actually vitamin C. So, vitamin C we can get in citrus fruit, in broccoli, in red capsicum. But studies have shown that it can really help increase your progesterone. So again, most women are suffering from not enough, and we want to bring that up and bring the estrogen down, get them balanced. So taking vitamin C every day, you can take, even 750 milligrams up to 1,000 or more. It's not going to hurt you. You'll just end up releasing it through your urine. And then my all-time favorite, zinc. So one thing I do in a consultation is I like to test people's zinc levels, because zinc is often not very high in the body. It's really hard to get enough through food. So different foods with zinc are oysters, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chicken, and ginger. Huge with hormonal balance. So you really need zinc for the production of progesterone. I really encourage you, if you're listening, you're unsure about some of these things, come see me. I'll give you a full consultation, and part of that is a zinc test, amongst many other tests. If you are deficient, which I'd say 9 out of 10 people are, supplement form is a great way to make sure you're getting enough. Like I said, it's hard to get enough through diet alone, but zinc is very, very important for hormonal balance. So I hope, I know I've covered a lot there, and there's a lot more that I could cover, but today we were talking about hormonal balance, estrogen dominance, ways to balance those hormones, bring down the estrogen, supporting the liver, and increasing that progesterone. So I'd love to help you. I'm located at G's Pharmacy in Taradell, so it's across from Bay Espresso. I'm happy to also have a free chat if you want to just chat about what's going on with you and your body, and how my services could best help you. Please do get in touch. You can just drop into G's Pharmacy if you want and see if I'm available, or you can give me a ring on 027-812-5071, or you can email me at heather@foodforlife, that's FOR life.co.nz. I've got a new website. It's a couple months old now. It's just pretty cool. You can check it out. It's www.foodforlife.co.nz. So I hope you've enjoyed this program about balancing hormones. And I'd love to hear from you too if you have any feedback or anything that you want me to talk about on this radio show. That would be fantastic. So just get in touch. So thanks for listening.